Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed the Game Changer. I am indeed Nate the Effing Great, doing it solo tonight, but it's alright. Quite a bit to go through this week in the world of professional wrestling. Of course, live here on Spreaker.com, as well as SoundCloud, Mr. NTG1990 on YouTube. Just a lot of stuff that, like I said, going on throughout the week of wrestling. Before we go any further, you guys, I actually have to do a nice little cheap plug for a lot of our fans that especially love new wrestling gear, a lot of great stuff. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Now, this was a site created by the one, the only, legendary Mr. Al Snow. And guys, this is actually really amazing because we have an exclusive offer here that you can actually get exclusive discounts on a lot of these surprises they have in here because our good friend Mr. Nick, aka Gold Dust Jr., actually has a discount code that you can use to get discounts. So that discount, of course, is CWIAK. So this is his last name, CWIAK. Use that as the discount code and you will get a discount on your order. It is great merchandise, great prices, and fast shipping. So, with that being said, thank you, Nick, for the promotional deal. Let's get on to, of course, the topic of today, and that is indeed professional wrestling, starting off with Monday Night Raw, or should I say Monday Night Braun, because this was literally a Braun Strowman takeover edition, in which he basically got fired by Kurt Angle, destroyed security, destroyed production trucks, destroyed Kurt Hawkins. It was just about to destroy Michael Cole, which would have been awesome, but Kurt Angle said, you know what, by the power from Stephanie McMahon, you have been rehired. You have been entered back into the matchup. You are everything seemingly A-okay, at least in theory. So, thought process about this is that this was almost like a throwback to the days where, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin would get fired. He'd cause mischief and mayhem, and he would just destroy everything in his path. And then eventually he would get rehired again. Now, a lot of people are kind of thinking that's kind of stupid how they kind of did that. Maybe they could have had it happen more on the following week's show just to maybe hype it up a little bit more because it is going to be the Raw 25th anniversary show. In all honesty, it was a pretty decent segment, and it definitely, again, showed Braun Strowman in a brighter light than people expect him to be. He did actually eat some pretty good stuff, like I said, not only causing destruction, but he actually ate some chocolate cake out of the randomness. It's just one of those things where he's destroying everything. Then there's this guy just standing there with chocolate cake. He's almost about to piss his pants. Next thing you know, Braun Strowman, he just eats cake, and he's just like, that's good cake. That's good cake. Just walks away. I'm like, are you serious? Okay. Braun Strowman is not one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Totally fine with that. It's just one of those things where it seems stupid, but at the same time, it's just really funny how they just ended up creating more magic and giving Braun Strowman so much more to do. It's just really great. I loved it. Alright, so we had Roman Reigns defeat Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel in a handicap matchup, building up to his title match against The Miz for the IC title. It's going to be absolutely can't miss. Do not miss out on that. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. Main event was very interesting because it featured Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins and the return of the curb stomp, which a lot of people were very surprised by. And there are some people that are actually very relieved because now he's not doing so much of the Rainmaker knee that he calls the Kingslayer. It's one of those things that I never really thought would have happened. I mean, it even came unexpectedly. Jason Jordan would trip up Finn Balor, and then Rollins would just hit the curb stomp out of nowhere. Literally, I was like, "Whoa! Did that seriously just happen?" I was not expecting Seth Rollins to do that. I thought that move was banned because people were worried that, oh no, we'll have concussions and oh no, we're going to have problems here. It's just really, really weird to see that again. So maybe they're doing a lifting on certain moves for bans. I don't know. I don't know if I see them getting the pile driver back in a lot of people's, move sets. But I do see a lot more moves probably you would usually see banned actually coming back again. Because maybe they are starting to realize that, hey, there are people that will actually be taking these moves better instead of, just going absolutely, just absolutely overselling on it and just being, very not so cautious about it, is what I'm saying. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else major that was highlighted during that matchup. During this night, Raw also had the Cruiserweight Championship. No, that was I think last week. Never mind. No, I think those are the only few things that kind of really stood out to me when it came to Monday Night Raw. Just a couple more Raw-related notes. One will definitely be featuring some of the things that are going to be going on with the Raw 25th Anniversary show this upcoming Monday. But there's a couple of things I think that need to be addressed. So, one of the first things that needs to be addressed is the statement that Sasha Banks made earlier on this week, in which she claimed that she was the greatest women's wrestler ever. Now, when she did this interview, it seemed like she was a bit in character because they were talking about a feud with her and Bayley and her turning heel, and basically she talks about how they have been discussing back and forth whether she was going to be heel, whether she was going to be face, but one of the things that she definitely notices is that Bayley seems to have her number, which pisses her off because she is the greatest women's wrestler ever. I have a dispute with that. Now, reason why I have a dispute with that is because, yes, Sasha Banks is indeed talented. She's good in the ring, and she's great on the mic, but the thing is, though, she has never had a proper title defense in which she came out victorious. You have to remember that. I think her longest title reign has been maybe a month, if even, which definitely does kind of put a damper on her being the greatest. And a lot of people might disagree. They say, like, it doesn't matter about the title reign. It's about the performances that she puts on. And she's put on a lot of great performances with her and Charlotte. Well, you also have to remember that Charlotte was also a part of those matches. And she's probably been a part of more memorable matches than Sasha Banks has been as of late. With Sasha Banks, she's been in a lot of great matches with Alexa Bliss. But other than that, do you see her having great matches with, Bayley? Do you see her having great matches with Nia Jax? Do you see her having great matches with Alicia Fox? Well, no, really. The only, feud that Sasha Banks has really stood out with was, indeed, Alexa Bliss. So, with that being said, I don't think she's the greatest. I think, greatest right now is indeed Charlotte, because she has indeed been putting on some really good matches with whoever she's really worked with. So, do I think that Sasha Banks is the best ever? No. There's still a lot of other women on the current roster that still surpass her, and women in the past. Women who have had probably one-day title reigns, but a lot of their other reigns, they've actually had some great matches, too. People like, Molly Holly, Lita, Trish Stratus, a lot of the people that have definitely, been mentioned before. But do I think that Sasha Banks is the greatest ever? No, she's still got a bit of a ways to go before she can prove that, in my opinion. The other thing that's been going on is that there's been this really weird kind of drug ring conspiracy that's been going on. One of the things that's been standing out is that Roman Reigns has actually had his name brought in, and it's been brought in by a guy by the name of Richard Rodriguez, who accused Roman Reigns of being a part of this, steroid underground ring that he was supposed to be a part of. Roman Reigns has indeed responded to this, basically stating that he's made his mistake in the past, and he has learned from it. He has not gone back to, anything steroid related. So in this instance, I don't see, Richard Rodriguez having a case with, Roman Reigns. This is not one of those things where I'm going to just jump on Roman Reigns and say, oh my gosh, how can you do this, and blah, blah, how can you deny this, and blah, 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 blah. I do believe him. He knows what he did wrong. He could have had a longer title run with the championship, but unfortunately that did not happen, and one of the reasons why he did not was because of the fact that he made this mistake, and he ended up, losing a lot of, I guess I would say, key matches. After his suspension, he came back. He was the guy that was involved in the final decision between Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins. He lost to Finn Balor on the same night that he beat like 3 other guys or something like that, and just really never given too much momentum until winning the U.S. title at the Clash of the Champions show of that year. Excuse me. So I do believe that Roman Reigns is definitely one of those guys who has learned from his mistakes. He's not going to do it again. It's just one of those things that I don't see really, really being too effective in his career right now. So with that being said, we actually have to talk about Monday Night Raw, the 25th anniversary, coming up this Monday. It's going to be emanating from both the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City as well as the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. How it's basically planned is that it seems like they're going to do a couple of random matches in the Hammerstein Ballroom, but the majority of the show is going to be taking place at the Barclays Center to celebrate Raw's 25th anniversary. I actually have a list of the names so far that are indeed confirmed for this upcoming Monday. So the names that are advertised by far are Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, the New Age Outlaws, X-Pac, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Teddy Long, The Godfather, Brother Love, The Slaughter, John Laurinaitis, that's right, the return of The Undertaker, good old JR, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Nature Boy, Ric Flair, JBL, as well as Ron Simmons, the APA, the Dudley Boys, which is going to be very interesting because, of course, everybody knows what happened with Bubba Ray Dudley this past year. Eric Bischoff, John Cena, Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, the Bella Twins, Jacqueline, Terry Runnels, Tori Wilson, Maria Kanellis. Very going to be interesting considering the fact that they just announced that they were expecting a baby girl. Michelle McCool, Kelly, and by virtue of their quote-unquote victory on the Jimmy Fallon show, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon defeated The New Day in a lip-sync battle by having Stephanie McMahon and Triple H sing How Far I'll Go from Moana. Just, oh my god, that was just so funny. So because of Stephanie McMahon and Triple H's victory, the New Day will be a part of Monday Night Raw's 25th anniversary show this upcoming Monday. So, very interesting to see that. A lot of very interesting people involved in this, 25th anniversary show, but also a lot of key people. Eric Bischoff, of course, being the Raw General Manager for so long. Of course, you got to have, Diesel and Razor Ramon involved. The APA, who are one of the key tag teams, along with the New Age Outlaws, $1 Million Man, cannot forget about him. I'm kind of surprised that they're bringing in the Boogeyman, but at the same time, I really shouldn't be surprised at this point. John Laurinaitis, who, as you know, the interim Raw General Manager, or the General Manager, both Raw and SmackDown. man, that voice could just put a baby to sleep like that. But you know what? It's going to be kind of nice to see him and kind of be entertaining to see what he does for on Monday Night Raw. Maybe he'll basically come in and just say, like, I want to take Kurt Angle's spot. Then Kurt Angle just gives him an Olympic slam and just makes him tap out to the ankle lock. In all honesty, I want to see that, please, for the love of God. Let me have that. Just let me have that. Alright, so we go on to SmackDown Live, and this edition of SmackDown Live actually more focused on one thing. And that was the United States Championship. They did have a 6 women's tag match in which the Riot Squad defeated Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Naomi. But other than that, we saw the U.S. Championship title tournament. We saw Jinder Mahal defeat Xavier Woods in what was a really good matchup. In all honesty, Jinder Mahal is getting a lot better. I will be more than willing to admit that. I think that the feud with AJ definitely helped him out, and he's definitely started to see a little bit more of a, greener pastures ever since he lost the WWE Championship. Seems like his, in-ring technique is looking better. His character is good. I think that it's just going to be a matter of time before he goes back to being WWE Champion again and having a proper run, not like the last run that he had. So for a lot of people that are... I was one of those people that didn't like the run of Jinder Mahal, and I'm still not a complete fan of it, but I am definitely stating that right now, if this was the Jinder Mahal that was involved in the WWE Championship picture, I would be okay with it. I would be totally fine with it. I think that they just pushed him to the moon way too fast, and he was just not ready for it. But there were other champions that were just not ready for it either, and they succeeded. But they also needed to have the right opponents, which is always the key factor. We also saw Bobby Roode defeating Mojo Rawley, thank heavens. And then Daniel Bryan came out to make the announcement that they're going to have the finals of the U.S. tournament at the same night, in which Bobby Roode became your new United States champion. Totally okay with that. Just absolutely, I'm happy for that. I'm one of those people that's a Bobby Roode fan, and just to see Bobby Roode hit the glorious DDT on Jinder Mahal, winning the U.S. Championship, it's great to see. So the question is, what does that mean for Dolph Ziggler? That is a really good question, because there's still no release about the fact that there's nothing that's been stated that he's been released or he's been suspended or blah, 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 blah. So I'm wondering if one of two things are going on. Either A, he's going to be coming back with a totally different gimmick, which a lot of people are assuming, or B, maybe he's just letting his contract run out. At this point, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because there is still a very interesting, deal here in which they can actually bring Dolph Ziggler in and create a great story between him and Bobby Roode. But the question is, how would they do that? I'm not exactly sure how they would do that. Maybe they could have Dolph Ziggler say, like, hey, I never lost that title, therefore that's mine. I mean, it seems like the most practical, but maybe they'll go along a different route with him. Who knows? SmackDown Live, nothing too exciting, nothing too stand-outish, really. A couple of good matches here. But there is one other thing that was brought up to my attention about SmackDown Live, and that was the fact that we saw the New Day, not the New Day, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. They were involved in a deal in which they attacked the Usos, and one of the reasons why I think that they did that may be due to the fact that Jey Uso was involved in a driving while under the influence deal. He was arrested for it. WWE is looking to do an investigation about that. And one of the things that may be coming out of this is that they may in fact have the Usos drop the tag team titles to Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin at the Royal Rumble in their 2 out of 3 falls match. Do I think it's going to be a straight up, 2-fall decision right away? No. I think it's going to be a very still, hard-fought matchup, and I think that it's going to be a matchup that a lot of people aren't going to forget. After the investigation, maybe they're going to have a deal in which they have maybe Jey Uso serve like a 30-day suspension or something like that. Have Jimmy Uso off TV for a while. Just kind of what am I trying to say? Just taking Usos off of TV just for a while. Maybe they'll have it due to like an injury angle or blah 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 blah. Just something like that, and then they'll just eventually bring them back. But other than that, I just don't see the Usos holding the tag team titles for that long. And then they'll probably build the Usos again. Maybe they'll win the tag team titles back at WrestleMania, which would be interesting. I would totally be okay with that. At least we get a new tag team in the scene. I would love to see the Usos try to, break. Well, there's going to have to be another team that's going to be very popular over with the fans for them to break now the New Day's record as tag team champions. But, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right. So, also in the title, it mentioned that Impact goes there. And the reason why I said Impact goes there is because of a few reasons. One is because they had the third ever barbed wire massacre match to feature OVE, Ohio versus Everything, and LAX. Now, I've seen both of the barbed wire massacre matches featuring Abyss and Sabu in the first one, and then Abyss and Judas Macias in the second one. It is one of the most cringeworthy and just spine-tingling matches that you will ever see. I really looked at this match and I thought to myself, this is insane that they would actually do this. And they did it again during this matchup. We saw barbed wire being used. We saw ladders and chairs and tables. There even came a point during the show in which we saw one of the OVE guys. They actually had some wooden sticks just drilled into their head by one of the members of the LAX. And it reminded me so much of the match between Jeremiah Crane, Brian Cage, and Mil Muertes at Ultima Lucha 3, in which I think Brian Cage got a bunch of sticks just driven into his head by Jeremiah Crane. It looked very sickening, especially when you look and you see some of them were sticking into his skull. That was kind of the same situation that happened with the guy from OVE. Oh my God, I'm still getting chills just thinking about it. LAX would come out victorious at the end, and they're really building up something very interesting with this OVE versus LAX feud. And this is just one of those staples on their rivalry where it's we're basically just ripping that envelope open. We're just going to go crazy with this. So it's just, I'm very interested in seeing how these matches continue on. But also next week is their Genesis event. A couple of the matches that they have already scheduled. Moose versus Lashley. This one is very interesting. Matt Sydal will be taking on the Impact Grand Champion EC3 in a matchup in which there will be no judges, no rounds, just a straight-up wrestling matchup. And it's they've finally given up on the Grand Championship, ruling on there, which I'm kind of okay with. Because here's the thing. Ever since the start of that championship, they kept on doing the same thing over and over again, which got annoying. It was one of the things that myself and Joshua Yeager over at the Pro Wrestling Off Topic show mentioned, was that if they would just had, scorecards in which they did, 8-7 or 7-6 or something like that. They changed it up, but every single time it was always one of these guys gets 9, one of these gets 10, and then we switch it around. And then at the end, it's the decider and blah, 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 blah. If they would have done something more with that and just had it not feel these guys have a perfect wrestling record on there, because that's the way I see it. If they're making it a 9 and a 10, they're making it seem like, oh, this is like a damn near perfect matchup. It's like, no, it's not. It's just random numbers that you guys are just putting on because of the fact that you're too scared to take a risk. Just, it was just annoying. And they just kept doing that over and over and over again, and it got really stale. So I'm kind of glad that one of the rumors are indeed true, and that the Impact Grand Championship is no longer active. Because it's one of those championships where it's like, it seemed great on paper, but the thing is that it just doesn't work when you do the same thing over and over again. It really doesn't. So we also have Laurel Van Ness defending her Knockouts title against Allie, and the main event, of course, being the triple threat steel cage match for the Impact Championship, Global Championship, I think it is. And that is Eli Drake defending against Johnny Impact, as well as Alberto El Patron. Really hoping that Patron gets his, block knocked off and, maybe falls off the cage. That's all for me. Also, this is very interesting because we can now basically insinuate, again, here's another spoiler, EC3 is going to be losing the Impact Grand Championship in the future, as well as being released from Impact via the Feast or Fired briefcase deal. He was the one that ended up getting the Fired briefcase. He left the company. And one of the things that's actually been heavily rumored is that he's going to be a part of the Royal Rumble matchup. And he actually had an indie date that was set for the 28th, I think it was, which is honestly the same day as the Royal Rumble. So there's a lot of speculation that he is indeed going to be a part of the Royal Rumble matchup, which in all honesty, that would be awesome. I really am looking forward to the idea of seeing EC3 in the Royal Rumble. And, could he work in NXT? Of course he could. Could he be a great asset on the main roster? Oh, God, yes. Just let him just be him. Don't have him come off as like a cheesy babyface. Let him be a fantastic heel, especially if you're bringing Rockstar Spud into the 205 Live, division. Have Spud and EC3 go through their deal again. It would just be amazing. I would love to see that. So, that will end that talk about the Impact deal. Alright, so before we get into the special announcement that I have for you guys, ending it off with this right here. So, we just had the announcement of the first member of the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame, and that is Goldberg. Sorry, I had to. So, Bill Goldberg is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. That is awesome. I am totally okay with that, and he is well deserving of that recognition for everything that he's done in WCW, as well as even his last, I would say, 4 months as an active wrestler in WWE. In that time frame, he did a lot more than what he did in his 1 year, I would say, and his first run in WWE, stuff like that. So, yeah, he definitely deserves it. As the third ever Universal Champion, it's going to be awesome. So, I want to kind of end it by saying that I think there are a couple people that they definitely do need to put into the Hall of Fame this year. And one of the people that definitely stands out the most would be Eric Bischoff. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're bringing him back, other than the fact that it is the Raw 25th anniversary show. I think this is going to open up a couple of doors where we may see Eric Bischoff, having more sporadic appearances, and then eventually get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Does he deserve it? Without a shadow of a doubt. Everything that he's done with WCW and everything he's done in WWE, it just says to me, hey, he's Hall of Fame material. Put him in. And with that, I would also have the Dudley Boys get inducted this year. I would have loved for them to get inducted next year, because I believe that next year is going to be actually taking place in New Jersey. But there is one main headliner guy that I think definitely needs to be there regardless because it makes sense. But I would have the Dudley Boys get inducted this year in the Hall of Fame. Also, it is mainly due to the fact that Bubba Ray, had his career-ending injury during that year when he was working with Ring of Honor. It was due to a concussion, I believe it was, and it's really sad to see that because Bully Ray was definitely one of the greatest wrestling characters in this wrestling business, in any wrestling generation, and I really wish we would have gotten to see that in WWE, but these things happened. So Dudley Boys would definitely be up there. Another person that this is a kind of a twofer, but if we can get either or involved in this would be amazing. I would love to see Tony Chimmel and Lillian Garcia be inducted into the Hall of Fame, whether it's this year or next year. Reason why? Because when you think about the first real, brand extension that they did back in 2002, one of the things that definitely stood out as to what made them so different from each other were the fact of Tony Chimmel and Lillian Garcia. And it just feels weird not having either one of them around because Lillian Garcia just has this great energy that she always had, very positive, very infectious, just absolutely wonderful to listen to her, saying that this match is scheduled for one fall and that, announce to the people. Just really hard for me to think of anybody else taking that spot, but, JoJo's been doing a pretty good job. Tony Chimmel, the same way. Of course, everybody knows that he's really well known for his, Rated R Superstar Edge. Just, again, that would be absolutely amazing. Just to hear that one more time at a Hall of Fame. I know that this past year, I think it was this past year, where Beth Phoenix got inducted and he just came out and he just did it just for reasons, which I was totally okay with. But yeah, it's just one of those things where they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, as I stated before, there is one person that definitely should get inducted next year into the Hall of Fame, and that guy is Paul Heyman. Because I think that this is the closest that we are going to get to New York City as far as WrestleMania goes. I don't know why they haven't scheduled for, another WrestleMania at, the Garden, but if this is as close as you're going to get to the Madison Square Garden area, then why not just have Paul Heyman do it? Like you said, it's literally like in his backyard, really. So have Paul Heyman be inducted next year. Maybe they can induct Tommy Dreamer, a couple other people from ECW. I would probably throw Rob Van Dam in there as well. That's just my opinion. It's going to be very interesting to see who gets inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. But I think that, Raw 25 is going to definitely open the idea of floodgates to who is going to possibly be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I will mention this. This is one that actually kind of bothers me a bit, is that two people who have not been announced for the 25th anniversary of Raw. Maybe this is going to be a surprise for everybody. That is let me put it like this. Rock and Sock. Rock and Sock. Neither Mick Foley nor The Rock have actually been announced for the 25th anniversary of Raw. Maybe they're going to be doing like a video appearance, more or less, because I'm sure The Rock's going to be doing a filming deal in which he will probably mention, he'll be coming back soon or something like that. And maybe the same thing will be said about Mick Foley. But it's just really weird not having either one of them there. But you know what? Maybe they'll appear. Maybe I'll be wrong, which I would totally be fine with. But it just feels weird not having either one of them there, considering they have some of the best moments on Monday Night Raw. I mean, from the Rock and Mick Foley match on Raw for the WWE title to the Rock and Sock This Is Your Life deal, just everything that they've done. It really does make you think, why are they not involved? Why are they not, brought into? Why are they not, involved with the Raw this Monday? But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll show up and I will be completely surprised. So with that being said, ending it on a high note. We're going to be doing a special announcement here, you guys, and that is I will be conducting an interview tomorrow with a key person behind the scenes of the local wrestling promotion here, ACW Wisconsin. Josh Weimer will be here, and I know right now that they are actually hosting a show in I think it's ACW 23. I know it's happening in the Appleton Oshkosh area right now. So they're building that up, and they're also going to be building up a lot of the details for the upcoming show in April, which is their ACW Water City WrestleCon. And for those of you that don't know what that is all about, I'll talk more in detail about that tomorrow. For right now, I'm going to end the show right here with, me stating that tomorrow is going to be a can't miss show. If you have any questions for Mr. Josh Weimer at ACW, leave them in the comment section below. Leave it wherever I can see them. You can even leave it on my Twitter at RealFNGame, or you can also give it a comment on the Facebook fan page at facebook.com/changing up the game. So, for the Game Changer, I've been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you so much for joining me here. Raw 25 this upcoming week, and then coming up we also have the Royal Rumble as well as NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. It's going to be a monumental and ruckus week next week, I guarantee you. So have a good one, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.